So with not further ado, let's go to the presentation. So Kevin, the floor is yours.
Well, thanks, Marta, for the introduction. Thanks everyone for joining in today. I'm gonna show this work in progress, I guess, this proof of concept of an add-on for doing vector synthesis inside Max. It's an add-on to Vsynth that it's not publicly released yet, but it's gonna be soon. So I'm gonna share my screen now. Hopefully you can see what I am doing. And I'm gonna put this in the next screen. Cool. So, okay. So I have here this patch I was working on before joining the Zoom call. I'm gonna close this at some point and patch from scratch. But what you are seeing here is a mix of Vsynth, which are the gray modules. Those are generating the image. And then the other modules, the one that has the light blue strip, those are the modules that I'm working on right now for doing graphics in the oscilloscope that you can see here. So now I have one webcam pointing to one of my oscilloscopes, and those are the graphics I'm making right now, mixing both video and audio. I have here some more presets I can show. Let's see if I can find the one I want. Yeah. So for example, this one, it's more like a landscape with a full moon and this kind of infinite terrain going on in the grid. So anyway, I don't have a lot of time today to go through everything. So I thought of actually building something with you and show all these different modules that I'm building. So I'm gonna close this and cancel. Let's see. So wait, you still watching my screen? Okay, cool. No, okay. So this is what I want to do with you. Okay, is this doodle. So the first thing we can notice here is that it's basically a grid modulated by these spikes. So that's what we are going to do. I'm using a Vectrex, a modified Vectrex in this video. I don't have it right now in my studio, so I'm going to use my Leader LBO 51MA, which is an XY display. And yeah, so hopefully, just let me know if you cannot see anything or everything cool. Okay, cool. All right. So if you're not familiarized with Vsynth, it's this video synthesizer laboratory for Max. It's been around for 6 years. There's a bunch of information around, so feel free after to check all that. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time with that. Just to let you know that you can go here to the extras and go to the launcher, and you will have here like a bunch of lessons, patches, and everything to get used to this library. But now I'm going to start directly with the vector synthesis library. So there's a shortcut here with paste from Vsynth vector default. So this opens this. And so now, as you can see, I have one of my Vsynth modules here. This menu will add all the Vsynth stuff, the video stuff. But I also have here another menu, which contains for now all the modules of the vector. All right, so I'm going to turn on the Vsynth render. And as you can see, I'm already visualizing the polarizer waveform generator. I'm using this one because it can switch between stripes, right? And polar shapes. It's pretty handy to try things out quickly. It also has a wave shaper, so I can go from sine wave to square wave to ramp. Anyway, it's very handy for all of this. And as you can see, I'm already having here the grid generator from my vector library. So if I just connect, actually turn on the 3-channel output, And well, in this case, I have here an 8-channel audio device. And to visualize things in this specific oscilloscope, I will need to change my channels here because I'm using channel 1 for the X input, channel 2 for the Y input, and channel 7 for the brightness. And you cannot hear anything because I didn't plug the webcam. So if I grab my webcam module here from Vsynth and connect it to the output, turn it on, you see my face again. Now I change it to the actual webcam and unpin it. And okay, we have here the oscilloscope displaying the grid. And already there is something going on to the brightness. So I'm using here a lot of the MC objects to make this more clear. And also so I don't have to every time plug X, Y, and brightness. So I'm only using one patch cord here that carries X, Y, and another one that carries brightness, and another one that carries the sync that we will see it in a little bit. So let me just like correct the settings here and make a little zoom if it allows me. Oh, great, okay. Okay, that's better. Okay, so there are some things here that I will have to mention that you have. You can unplug this, and we will have the full brightness of the grid that's coming from here. And as you can see, in the top, I have 3 inputs. It's X modulation, Y modulation, and brightness modulation. And if I plug this here, this is already getting the brightness modulation from the polarizer because all of these inputs are pre-patched. So that's also very handy. Let me just add a preview here from Vsynth so you can see what I'm doing, right? So if I open the attenuator of the X modulation, I will start like modulating X and Y with the circle, and also the brightness, it's being modulated by the same signal. But if I make another one here and send this to the brightness, as you can see now, the circle is modulating X and Y, and the stripes are modulating the brightness. So there's a lot of things you can do here. Okay, but let's go back to the example, which is this. So okay, the grid, we already have the grid, right? There's another thing though that it's happening, that instead of the brightness being modulated by the circle in this case, well, it's actually modulated by a circle, but it's another waveform, right? To make the radial mask, because if we see the grid again without the brightness and without the modulations, it's a square, right? It's a square. So what we have to do now is to make a circle out of this. So in this case, it's pretty easy. Just for clarity, I'm gonna change the patch cord to the brightness modulation input. And so basically to make the radial mask, I'm gonna just stop the speed, change the frequency back to 60, and then make a square wave, right? So now I have a perfect sharp circle there. And maybe I'm gonna adjust the bias here and the phase of the oscillator so I can have a better circle. So yeah, so we have the circle, yeah, there with the grid. Also in the generator, we can change the amount of the refresh rate, right? So this is actually the grid being drawn at 1 Hertz. And if I start increasing that, at some point, I'm gonna trick your eyes. And with the persistence of vision, we will have the actual grid. We can also change the amount of lines or divisions and all of that stuff. We can also have here a drift of horizontal and vertical drift. So anyway, it's if you're familiar with Vsynth, it's pretty much the same logic. It's a little bit more complex because it's mixing both audio and video. Actually, I didn't say this, but if you wanna like see a better explanation of how these new modules work, there's a video on my YouTube channel. It's a half-hour video of me showing a lot of things of this. And there's also a 45-minute video of a presentation I did last month in Vector Hack Festival that you can check out that actually go into the different modules and options like more in detail. So, okay, back to this. Let's just put 25 lines here for the grid. And let's check what's going on here. Okay, so let's focus on the spikes. The spikes are a little bit more complex. It's a little trick I do actually with Vsynth. So to do that, I'm not using X and Y distortion here as I showed before, because X and Y distortion actually distorts the graphics to right and left and up and bottom. And what I want is to displace everything from the center towards us, right? So for that, what I'm doing is actually amplitude modulation, but there is a handy module here called displacement, which again, if you're familiarized with Vsynth, it's pretty much the same as the displacement 2 module in video. Still, again, this is a work in progress, so the interface might look a little funky right now, but at some point it will look similar to Vsynth. Okay, so here's the displacement. The displacement allows me to move everything and rotate, scale, and also modulate those parameters. So for example, let's see. So at this point, the modulation inputs works only with audio, except the generators that also accepts video. So for example, if I add here just a sine wave at 61 Hertz, let's say, and send this to the, let's say to X, Y, and scale. Let's send that to everything. So as you can see now, I'm displacing both with the sine wave, right? But I don't want to use the sine wave. In this case, I actually want to use video to make these displacements. So for now, there's a module called texture to audio. So this will allow us to transform any video or texture we create in Vsynth to audio to use as modulator of the other modules that are not generators. So if I grab the sync from the grid generator and send it to the sync input of the texture audio, and if I send whatever video to the texture input, now I can use this as my modulator source for all the stuff right now, right? So now I'm using the sine wave coming from the polarizer, this stripe, to modulate the scale of the grid, right? Okay, so the spikes. Let's see if I remember actually how to do the spikes. So what I would do for doing that, it's basically, so as you can see, we have like little points, right, that are doing these displacements. So I would do that with a pixelator actually. So there is this handy module here from Vsynth that it's the pixelator. So let's just grab it. And let's keep this open so we can see what our modulation looks like. And since I'm not pixelating that much, we can still have like the sine wave. But if I put like 5 here, as you can see now, there's like blocks, right, that are displacing this. It looks like, yeah, like steps. So that's a good sign. Let's increase this. Maybe let's grab the initial point of the scale to 0.5 so we make it smaller, and then the displacement can be more intense. So yeah, so my trick here, it's basically make a morph between the stripes and the radial shapes that the polarizer allows me. So I just basically move the crossfade here a little bit. Just for clarity, I'm gonna also add one preview before the pixelator. And then just maybe move the angle a little bit of the stripes, then decrease the speed. Let's just make 25. Increase the frequency. So now we have all this distortion going on. And then we can also decrease the bias, which is a number that it's add to the original image. So basically increase the brightness of everything, but like it also increase the brightness or decrease the brightness of the blacks and whites. So like if I increase the bias, you will see that the blacks now are turning white also, right? But let's do the other way around. Let's do this less white. So we have more black sections and we have like these little spots here and there. I'm also gonna decrease the brightness of the oscilloscope because it's pretty burned. Okay, you can see this better right now. It's close enough to what I'm actually seeing in the scope here. So there's one more step to do here to get the spikes, which is interpolate the pixelation. So now you can see all these squares, but if I hit this button, I make like this diamond shape instead of having the solid squares. And now you have these little spots here and there. Let's actually increase a little bit more the speed. Oops, 75. Okay. And okay, this is looking okay. Let's just double check our original video. All right, so what I'm seeing here also is that I'm like drifting the lines of the grid. So I'm gonna do that. And also, I think I'm rotating also the whole shape, maybe with a sine wave or something like really, really slow. So let's do that. So maybe put 20 lines. And this is another thing I didn't mention, that also the spikes will change depending on the waveform I'm using. So as you can see now, it's like more dramatic, the appearance of the spikes. That's because I'm using a square wave. But if you smooth that a little bit, changing the wave shaper here, you will have like this more smooth movement, which you can also actually get, and we can do that. You can also smooth the square wave using the temporal filter here from Vsynth, which basically is a frame interpolator. So smooth the frames, basically making everything more slow. So I can put that here. And increase a little bit the smoothness. Yeah, okay, that's better. So I'm just gonna move a little bit, like drift a little bit the lines that are making the grid by changing here this horizontal speed and the vertical speed, right? And I also said that I was rotating the whole shape. So I'm just gonna add a really slow sine wave. Let's say, I don't know, 0. Well, let's try 1 Hz and let's decrease from that. So I connect the waveform, the audio waveform, to the rotation modulation input. And let's just put here, I don't know, 3.1416. Okay, that's very fast. So yeah, let's put just like 0.05. Still very fast. yeah, something like that. It's very, very, very slow. And I guess what I'm lacking now is this distortion in the middle, right? It's like a bubble thing going on here. And for that, there is another handy module from the new library that it's called fisheye, which someone could argue that the algorithm is not actually a fisheye, it's another thing, but it looks like a fisheye. So let's just call it fisheye for now. And I can add this, let's do it before the displacement. But I mean, I can add it afterwards also, so it's not like a big deal here. Yeah, so that's the ball. Maybe if I decrease this a little bit more and increase the modulation. I exaggerate a lot here. And yeah, I think it's pretty close to what I was doing here. So that's the original. This is the new one. So yeah, if I'm not checking out the chat, so if anyone has any questions, I'm not like seeing it. Okay, there's no questions. Cool. There's any questions before I finish? I think I'm right on time, right? Like, okay, cool. So yeah, that's what I want to show you. Something more. There's a bunch of modules here, guys, I didn't show. So if you want to know more about the new modules, please check both my video on my YouTube channel and on Vector Hack Festival YouTube channel. And yeah, this is gonna be released, I guess, soon. I don't want to say any date, but at some point this year or early next year, I guess with a better interface and with a few more modules I'm developing right now. But there are crossfades. You can make several shapes and crossfade between them, have them both at the same time in the screen, also sequence them. There's another output I'm making, so you can actually use more than one scope. That's something I can show you here. I have like several, so I can send one of the things I'm making in one of the scopes to the other ones and start like switching and making like a dialogue between them. So yeah, I think there's a lot of potential here, mixing these all new audio-based modules, taking advantage of the MCs to make the patch really clean, because if not, you will have like every time to connect 3 patch cords, which is a lot. And also using all the Vsynth potential that it's already here to make all kind of shapes and distortions to these audio-based generators and processors. So yeah, thanks for watching and listening.
Thank you. This is really black sorcery for me. It's really fun to see. Now I want to just buy one of those screens and an oscilloscope to start working on. I will lose all my money. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much. And I think